And happy Monday, Monday. I am so excited to have my good friend, Miss Camille Nisich, here with me. And even though we've never met face to face, I call her my good friend. She's been so sweet and kind to me. She's been through both my parents passing. She sent me some oils for my endometriosis to help me through those weird periods, as we all know about as women, no pun intended. But she is super sweet, super nice. And I wanted to interview her today because, as you know, I've been doing a lot of videos on the importance of multiple streams of income. So for those who don't know my story, I was unceremoniously let go from my job a year ago. I was called into the office on Thursday and called it home on Friday. And then there's other people out there, similar situations. And then we just had 2 weeks ago today, marks the 2-week anniversary of the tornado that ripped through my city. There are 10,000 people without jobs, not because they don't want to work, but because of the tornado, there's nowhere for them to go. And then there's Miss Camille, who shared her story on her live, and then also I'll let her speak a little more about it. But she's recently part of the Unemployed as well, and I don't know if it came as a surprise or not. I can't remember what we discussed, but we get complacent when we're in the workplace. And when you're used to getting a paycheck and a certain level of income, I don't care what it is, you live your lifestyle based upon that income. I mean, of course, we save and, we invest in our 401k and such, but we really don't think about the big what if, And even more importantly, a lot of us have home businesses, but we're not active in our home businesses. I even myself did not get active until 2016, but it's because of those activities I took in 2 years why I'm still able and blessed to say that I am successfully unemployed over a year later. So, we get into it because of tax breaks or the extra benefits, but we don't make it a real job. We treat it as a hobby. So with all that being said, Camille is definitely an amazing person to talk to today because she has, like I said, recently been displaced from corporate America. She has an amazing essential oils business, and she is also a social business development coach. And I just love her videos. They're quick, they're to the point. And good thing is you can get her tools without having to enter your email. Okay. No opt-in required. All right. So with that being said, Ms. Camille, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and I'm going to start sharing us in a couple of groups.
Okay, great. So Cecilia, thank you so much for having me. I honestly can't remember. I feel like we met in a group. That feels like what happened, but I can't remember exactly which one. And it's been at least a couple of years now, a few, yeah. I think. And so I just have always loved the fact that you're always keeping it top of mind, that you need to have multiple streams of income, because that's something that I've always agreed with too. But yeah, so as Cecilia said, my name is Camille Nisich. I'm a social business development coach, but I'm also a network marketer. And I definitely am one of those people who was in corporate America, but also had my entrepreneurial dream. Much like many of us, I read the 4-Hour Workweek back in 2007, and I got bitten by the bug. And I said, yep, I need a location independent business. I just don't know exactly what it's going to be. And so I started down that path. I had a couple of kids. I was working in corporate America. But then in 2014, I started my home business, even though I was still working at my corporate job. And so, and I went to business school. I have an MBA. So I was like, I'm going to have a business entity from day one. I'm going to do this the right way. I'm going to collect my tax benefits. Yep. What would happen was whenever there was crunch time, mm-hmm. I would say, oh, I've got a priority for my corporate job and I've got a priority for my business. And I would always let the corporate job priority take precedence.
We do that.
A slippery slope.
Yes.
That can be a slippery slope. And so I worked in technology, and I was at a large brand that you all know that I will not name. I had worked there for 18 years.
Wow.
And so last August, I basically was told, hey, your position is being eliminated.
Yeah.
Though you have served well as an employee for 18 years, actually a couple months prior to that, I had won an award for a global project that I had worked on.
Exactly.
And, hey, guess what? Your position's being eliminated. And there I was going from a 6-figure corporate income to, okay, now it's just your business. And so I have been in that place where, okay, I didn't prioritize, like I said, a lot of times my home business or the other piece of my business, kind of the coaching and such. And so then I was put in a position where, okay, it's go time now. And so that's just, I feel like that's a conversation that we need to have more and more, because we no longer live in a world where jobs are for life. And so we need to protect ourselves.
Yes. And it's interesting you would say that, because I was watching my favorite political analyst, Bill Maher, on Friday. And he had one of our 20, was it how many Democratic candidates is? I think it's 24.
23?
Yeah. He had one of the candidates on his show. And one of the things that he mentioned that I thought was so profound about today's workforce, 44% of all work is either repetitive manual or repetitive cognitive work. What repetitive manual is like your warehouses, manufacturing, distribution centers, logistics, and then the repetitive cognitive is like call centers and retail operations and things like that. And then the other thing that he thought that I was like, wow, 30%, it is predicted, I should say, it is predicted that 30% of all malls will close in the next 4 years due to the Amazon $20 billion e-commerce industry. Then I thought about Amazon, $20 billion. Do you know how much they paid in federal taxes? Boop.
Oh, it gets better than that. Do you know the story about how they did not make a profit the first 20 years they were in business?
I saw that.
Yeah. So people always say, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want to do this business. And I thought, if you only did it for the tax benefit and you had a loss every year, you are a business that booked a loss, and there are honestly tax benefits to that. So
exactly.
It's good enough for Amazon. It is good enough for you.
Hello, say it, girl, say it. And people just don't get it. And it drives me it used to drive me crazy. Now it just makes me laugh, because before I wasn't at a place, as Ray Higdon says, a posture in my business. So I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Why aren't you taking advantage of the tax benefits? That vacation you just went on, you're sucking that up. You can be writing that off. And then it's even crazier when I talk to people and they're like, well, I don't want to end up owing Uncle Sam any money. Okay, first of all, Uncle Sam is not a real person. Let's be clear. He's nobody's uncle, and he is not part of your family. And if you do, worst case scenario, let's say you flub up a little bit and you end up owing $1,000 or maybe even $5,000. That may be a lot, because I was in that situation. Not to digress, but when my mom first moved with me, I had just lost my job due to the economic meltdown, the housing crisis of 2008. So I had cashed out my 401k, but when she came to me April of 2009, I forgot to give my accountant my 1097 or whatever that form is. So the IRS came after me for the taxes for me cashing out my 401k. I paid that back over like 4.5, 5 years. It's not the end of the world. But anywho, I digress. But yeah, Amazon lost money for the first 20 years. And now that they're making money, as my mom would say, what is it, hand over fist?
Right?
Not even paying government taxes. It's like crazy. So yeah, so great point. And the fact that a lot of the things that we think are always going to be around are so slowly but surely they're going away. And if you don't set yourself up to be in a position, and everybody is not going to want to work from home full time. Some people need that discipline of having somewhere to go because they don't have it in themselves. Some people need that interaction of actually going out to lunch with people and having water cooler conversations or whatever. And then there's us who
right?
don't. Exactly.
Exactly. I know. And I worked my corporate job the last 8 years of it at home. So I'm online girl. I'm all about remote work. I'm easily self-motivated. I rarely turn on the television. I'm not that person, but not everybody's like that. So it's true. But regardless, if you have a commute, you can be working your business in your car.
Exactly.
If you have a lunch break, you can be working your business at lunch.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. But yes, I mean, take it from two people who know.
Yes.
Start before you need it.
Exactly. My mom always used to say, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Right.
So that has been a blessing. And before I forget, as you're watching Camille and on today. Please give us likes, hearts, comments. If you're getting value from this conversation, please share it out to your page. Also, drop some notes in here. I always go back to my Facebook and thank you, and recognize everyone who jumps on board, that gives us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to try to monitor this a little bit from my phone to see if I can give you some real time, but this is all new to me, so be patient.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a delay. So if you type it and we don't see it immediately, definitely, if we don't see it live, we'll come back and answer if you have questions.
Exactly. Good call. All right, so tell me more about how you kind of played around with your business.
Yeah, right. So I have a little perfectionism disease. I will say that. I will come clean. And so I tend to be the person that's like, okay, well, I have an experience, and I'll even tell you how I got here. So you were talking about your mom. Moms are always dear to us, but I lost my mom when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
And I actually had lost a brother 4 years before that.
Okay.
So out of that experience, I very quickly figured out that I had to be able to have some internal processes where I could just turn my mind inward and just be okay, right? Like to know where I could find that inner peace and that inner calm. And from that place, I could go out into the world and kind of, excel and make it in all those things. And so, it was just a necessity. But basically what I did is I taught myself to meditate.
Nice.
Right. But I didn't know, because it was pre-internet. And so I didn't know what I was doing, but I know I just would have this time once a day where I would just kind of turn my attention inward, and I would get these answers. And I always say to people, the answers come in the silence. So you have to get quiet daily, hopefully, and just listen. Just listen. And so I would get these ideas, and I would just, I made good grades and all those different things, even from a place of trauma and loss and whatever. We all have our stories, but you need to have those ways that you can kind of cope within yourself without anybody else's input, right? So fast forward, this is something I did for years. And so fast forward, I get into the corporate world, and people are just, spun up about different things, and they're stressed and they're whatever. And I had read the 4-Hour Workweek, like I said, and then I had sat on it. I thought, I don't know what business. And I had some ideas, and I thought about supplements, and I thought about mom stuff, and I thought about all these things. And then I took this course, and many of you have probably heard of it. It's called B School. It's by Marie Forleo. And the pre-work of that course is called Start the Right Business. And if you really sit down and you do that well, you write out, like, what am I good at? What do I think that is easy that other people struggle with? What do people always tell me are my strengths? All these things. And I literally took 3 days and wrote all that out and answered and re-answered and re-answered. And so I came to this place of, I'm good at managing stress. I don't have problems with sleep that other people have. And it's because I developed these internal habits and practices very early on. And so I thought, okay, that's it. But I immediately went into, I need to have credentials. Which is often another little pitfall, right?
Yes.
You don't always need to have credentials. There's plenty of people out there doing things that they don't have credentials for. I'm not saying open somebody's heart up or something, but beyond that, if it's not life or death, you probably can do some things without the credentials, right? But I had perfectionism disease. And so I went off and I started getting all these different certifications, and I got yoga teaching certified, and I got stress management certified, and I got sleep certified, and I got all these certifications, mindfulness, everything. I'm like, I've been meditating for half my life, or at that point, more than half my life.
Right.
And I was like, I need a certification. I need some training. And so I went off and I did that. And again, I've got my home business, and I'm, just doing my little minimum, and I've got a few customers, and I'm collecting my tax benefits, and I'm collecting my credentials.
Right.
And so but then I started to realize, okay, well, let's figure out the marketing of that, and how does it all play together? And so, so I got caught up in, well, I'll make a little progress, but then I'll prioritize my day job. I'll make a little progress and I'll prioritize my day job. So along the way, I helped people, but did I help them at the scale I could have been helping them? Absolutely not.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the pitfalls a lot of working people fall into, is that it's really hard when you've got, especially in your case, you've got a husband, you've got your children, you've got your job. Where do you actually find the time to carve out that niche to go all in with your business, or at least to be serious enough about it so that you're treating it as a business and not just somewhere to funnel money, so to speak? Because at the end of the day, I saw more results from 2016 until today than I saw in the entire 12 years that I ever did this business before. And I think it's because I really got serious. Even before March landed on me and I was fired, I knew when I started, I think it was September of 2017, I was already in the process of coming up with my plan to leave corporate America on my terms. And the crazy part about it is that in spite of all the tragedy that happened to me, as you're well aware, and anybody who's seen my personal page, the day that I was going to quit was November 2nd of last year, because that's the day before my birthday. It was the last Friday. Of course, I would have given my 2 weeks or whatever, but the paycheck that I got on November 2nd was bigger than any single paycheck I had ever gotten from my job. And this is a girl like you. I've got a bachelor's, I've got my MBA, I got a green belt or whatever. So
right. Hello, credential collecting.
I know, right?
Credentials.
Exactly. So I'm like, I got this. But to see that, I was like, you know what? And I think I saw a post where it says the last thing to grow on the tree is the fruit. So it's laying, so it's building, it's putting the seed down, watering it regularly, consistently. I love your videos that you do. Your consistency is phenomenal. Planting the seed, watering it consistently, and then waiting for that fruit to grow. And now, as we're seeing the fruits of our labor, it really becomes a lot easier to make that transition. You know, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He came by because I got some weird stuff going on, growing out of my gutters. And, you know, he was talking about how his wife was unemployed and they're just one income now and all this and that. And it's funny because he just so happened to be an engineer, but here he is. I found him on one of these neighborhood sites to clean my gutters. You know, he's gonna make a hot little piece of change off of me. So, and that's what he said he does. He said he does his day job and then he carves out time. He's got some yards that he mows, and then he picks up other odd jobs like this when they pop up. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in network marketing or affiliate marketing. You just need to find that thing. Like you said, you tried a lot of stuff, the yoga and different things, but once you found that business coaching resonated with you, that's where you kind of decided to focus your efforts. But that doesn't mean you don't try other things along the way until you find out what really, really works. And who knows, you may go back to being a yoga instructor at some point.
Yeah, and it's funny because I do have a way that, you know, it all kind of, I think sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, you have so many ideas and you think, wow, I feel a little scatterbrained because I have so many ideas. But I feel like over time, they all start to come together. Yes. And I mean, the reality is if you're going to run a business, there's a whole host of like mental game stuff that you're going to have to not just work through, but continuously work through. Yes. And so that's why I always say it's a practice. Like you're going to have your processes in your business. You're going to have all these different things, partnerships, all the things that you need to do, but you're also going to have some personal practices. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. You're just not. So yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to touch base on is some of the deductions. I was watching Steve Harvey earlier this year, and one of the things that Steve Harvey was talking about, or no, his financial coach, I can't think of her name right now, but one of the things that they were discussing on the show is that there are over 400 tax deductions that home business owners can take advantage of. And most of the people don't even know what those are. And even if you do have a home business, a lot of people still file Schedule C on their taxes. And I don't know if you're Schedule C or corporation. I mean, there's benefits for both either way. But regardless of which way you go with how you define yourself as an entity, do you think it is important to have a accountant or CPA do your taxes, or let's try to wing it yourself?
I think it's important to have a professional, but not all professionals are created equally.
Correct.
I highly recommend, if you're going to go the home business route, that you have someone who understands home business. And particularly if you are a network marketer, have someone who works with other network marketers, because they understand things about structure, about the kinds of expenses that you're going to have, et cetera, that your average, you know, accountant, CPA, tax preparer just doesn't know. And so if they tell you, oh yeah, I'm good with home businesses or whatever, no, you need to find out if they do, if they really truly have worked with them and kind of what the results have been, because our, you know, my tax preparer is awesome, and they specialize in, you know, home businesses and they understand the right deduction.
Well, I'm glad you said that. I knew you did, even though we never talked about it. I just felt it because I feel like I know you that well. Yep. Because that's the other part about treating it like a business. It's getting professionals to do those things that you don't know. You can go through TurboTax or H&R Block online and muddle through and get it together, but there are thousands of dollars that home business owners miss out on every day because they don't reach out to a professional. So the last thing that I want to talk about before I give you another shameless plug is I want to talk about the benefits of coaching. We are both personal coaches. Like I mentioned, you do the social business development coach, whereas I take people who basically don't have an idea and help them develop that idea, whether it's working with me directly in my business or finding out what works for them and how we can market their business. But then I also have a coach and a mentor. And one of the things that I found, and me and Cece talked about this on Friday, is that so many people balk at the benefit or the cost of having a coach as we navigate our home-based business world. I had a friend of mine who was a landscaper, and he didn't understand the importance of being an LLC. And I was like, yeah, because when the rock comes from the lawnmower and takes out somebody's plate window in their living room, dude, who's paying for that? You're not just JoJo with a lawnmower, you're running a business. Yeah. So, but when it comes to, that part they understand, but when it comes to actually being a business as you and I are, it's really difficult to get people to understand the benefits and the importance of getting trained. This is not something you can just jump in unless you're just playing around with it. You've got to take it seriously. So can you tell me the benefits you found of both having a coach and also being a coach?
Yeah, so I think anything. So you, first of all, investment, right? Like if you were going to start a pizza parlor, you need to have some sort of either lease or purchase of land. You need an oven to bake your pizza in. You need material. You need to make investments in your business, and coaching is just like that, right? And then, if you think about it, like, does Tom Brady coach himself? Does Tiger Woods coach himself? Like, these are elite athletes, but they don't coach themselves, right? So you can't always have all the answers yourself, or it might take you longer to get there. And so, when you're at that level and you need to think about this yourselves, what's your shortcut? Who's the person who's either been there or can ask you the right questions? And hopefully that is the case, so that you can kind of come to the answer and realize the right path for you. But the reality is you're not always going to ask yourself those questions, because you're not going to put yourself, and again, I'm a stress management coach, you're not going to put yourself in a position of asking yourself tough questions that make you feel at risk personally. Like, you're not going to ask yourself those questions, right? Because your brain is meant to protect you. And so you need someone else to ask you those challenging questions, and then give you the space to answer. But there's very few people that are going to ask themselves those own questions. I honestly don't even think it. And honestly, some of the coaches that I've had, like, I just came off of an experience where I was on a reality show. The couple who sponsored that show, they are coaches, right? They're coaches and trainers. They currently have 4, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 coaches for their business. So it's,
and they're multimillionaires,
by the way. Multimillionaires. Yeah. So you just have to think about who's going to get me to the next level. And I probably can't get there myself. So I have to go seek out the coach that's going to, or coaches that are going to help me get there.
All right. Well, that was a great lead in. So please tell us more about what it is that you do, what you can offer someone, and how they can get in touch with you.
Yeah. So again, as you had mentioned, I call what I do in terms of business coaching and consulting social business development coaching. And that is really figuring out, what are the personas, what are the processes, what are the practices, like your practices, and then what are the partnerships? What are those 4 pillars under those 4 Ps that are going to help you get your business to the next level as quickly as possible? And so that's what I like to help people on. A lot of times what you see in my free content is around kind of the marketing end, so kind of the processes piece. But again, I touch all 4 of those pillars in my one-on-one coaching. So that's what I do. And in terms of finding me, just find me on Facebook. Both my business page and my profile have the same name. They just look different. So Camille Nisich, find me there, follow my content. I give, like you said, I give away tons of, content and free cheat sheets on little tactics that you can employ in your business right after you watch one of my videos.
In your life. I love the breathing one you did the other day.
Yeah. And it's funny because and you've known me, right? Like I've done, mindfulness challenges for like 6 weeks. I've done like yoga. I don't think I've ever actually taught publicly on Facebook a yoga practice, although I feel like that's coming. And so I've kind of taught different things, and I'm always trying to figure out, well, what resonates with people, right? And so I'm always open to feedback. I'm always open to questions. If there's something in your business that you're not sure about and you'd like me to talk about it in a live, reach out to me. Open inbox. It's available to you. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I do want to say before we close, first of all, thank you very much, Camille. I really appreciate you doing this for me. Your story when we talked, first when I saw your video and then we talked, it really resonated with me because losing a job is just like any other state of loss. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. And the longer you're there, 18 years, 10 years, the bigger the loss. And you have to go through all the emotions. You can't shortcut it because it's all a part of the process. And I am not ever going to tell anybody to quit their job, leave their job, or anything like that. But and I'm even not adverse to going back to work, but it has to be for the right opportunity. I feel like at this stage in my life, this next job will be my last job. If that's not it, this is going to be my last job, So yeah, so I'm not advocating anybody not go to work, especially if you don't have a safety net or anything like that. My goal is to let people know that you have to have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way through Z, because you just don't know. Everybody that went to sleep on Memorial Day here in Dayton, Ohio, and the surrounding areas all thought they were going to get up and go to work the next day. Well, guess what? That didn't happen through no fault of their own. So it doesn't have to be a termination. It doesn't have to be corporate downsizing. It can be an act of nature. And there are a lot of people, the stories are heart-wrenching about people who are still in Red Cross shelters because they don't have the means or the money to go anyplace else. And that breaks my heart. So I just want you to prepare. As I said, my mom, it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. And then there's another statement people say a lot. It's better to be ready so you don't have to get ready. So if you are interested in business mindset, coaching and development, please reach out to Camille. If you are struggling on where to get started, how to get started, if you don't know if you want to go into network marketing, affiliate marketing, or maybe you have a brick and mortar that you're just trying to get out the ground, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Both of us have tools and skills available. We just kind of go in diverging directions, but we come together as friends in navigating this online business world. So with that being said, Ms. Camille, do you have any closing thoughts for our watchers today?
No, I don't, but I just want to say, just take that first step. Sometimes the first step is the hardest step and it's scary, but the courage comes on the other side. So yeah, just take that step. And thank you so much for having me, Cecilia. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you and everyone who's watching. I tried to monitor, but then I did something. I started a watch party. I should have just left it alone and started sharing it from my page, because now I was doing a watch party and I'm stuck in the party. So if you are watching, give us a hashtag replay. Once again, give us some likes, some hearts, some love. Let us know if this benefits you, and let us know if it got the wheels turning for you. Let us know, if you're looking at your life and thinking about things, Camille, 18 years in, I was 10 years in, and now we're both, as I'm going to say to the rooftops, successfully unemployed. And you never know when you may need to be successfully unemployed as well. So reach out to either of us. We're both here to help. We do appreciate you watching. And again, Camille, thank you again for doing this. And I will see you on your next live.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye, everyone.